Hello, friends. Welcome to GK Sports India YouTube channel. And this is the Kumbi Jikku show, where Srinath, former player and now a current BCCI umpire, and I preview the second and final test match of this two-match series, India versus West Indies, to be played at Arun Jaitley Stadium in New Delhi, formerly the Firozshah Kotla. So, welcome, Sri. Welcome to this preview of the India-West Indies second test. How have you been? And you think West Indies would have done some extra work to try and make a match out of the second test and try to level the series?
There's no news about what West Indies has done. So I'm not too sure about what they're up to. Yes, the only thing I believe is, there's been a bit of uh, forecast of rain in Delhi. So if at all the game needs to go into day 4 or day 5, the only way I believe the game can go in is because the turnaround in 4 days is certainly not going to happen, with this current West Indian setup. So what has not happened in the last, decade and a half, I don't think they have had enough time to turn it around that way. Maybe if rain plays spoil sport, inevitably the game could go into that. The rest, otherwise, again, hopefully, with the legacy West Indian cricket has had, we just live in hope and, try to believe that they come up and, try to put up a show.
Yes, and even if there is rain interruptions, I'm sure whatever play is possible, that is good enough time for India to rout West Indies, because that is the quality of West Indies, and very sadly on that part. But then that is how strong India is also, especially at home. Sri, looking back, 7 matches between the two nations at this particular venue. Did you know that the first ever test match between the two nations, whenever they started playing, was played at this venue at the Kotla in 1948? So
No.
that's a match drawn. John Goddard's West Indies versus Lala Amarnath's India, match drawn. Perhaps West Indies, if at all, they believe in seeking inspiration and making some or learning from those past instances. 4 from the West Indies, of course, the teams cannot be compared, different eras, different whatever generations. 4 West Indian batsmen, including the two of the famous Ws, so Weeks and Walcott scored hundreds. And on Indian side, it was Hemu Adhikari scoring a century, match ending in a draw. Perhaps they can take some leaf out of that. And even the last test match that was played between the two countries at this venue, Shivnarayan Chandrapal scored 100. Maybe his son Tej Narayan can also draw a leaf out of his father's book and put up some good resistance in this test match. Do you agree?
Well, you mentioned saying that different generations, different teams. I don't know, modern day cricketers, how much they dig deep or dwell upon trying to learn what history, means to them. Hardly I find modern day cricketers, when I speak to youngsters, they typically don't relate or resonate with, past cricketers. So I have my own doubts. If West Indies could go back as far as 1948, 2011 itself would be a distant dream for them. You spoke about Chandrapal's son. Now, will he be a sure shot a candidate to be a part of the playing 11 is a question mark. Well, if he is, then fair enough. He can draw inspiration. In fact, he can speak to his dad and find out how he got there. Yeah, I mean, history always is there to dwell upon and see how it can be corrected, just not typically by drawing a line or towing the same line of history and saying this is how it is going to pan out to. So, but things have changed over a period of time. And since 2002, last time around, I think last 23 years, I think West Indies has not beaten India in any test series that they've played between them. So that shows, the sort of dominance India has had, just not at home, even when India has toured the Caribbean.
Right. So India sitting pretty 1-0 match over in less than 8 sessions in Ahmedabad, having 2 extra days of rest. Do you foresee changes to the playing 11? If at all, who you think, even if there is one change, who you think will go out or miss out and why? In the Indian
To me,
lineup.
I think, typically, the Arun Jaitley Stadium always is played low and slow. Not much of help for the faster bowlers. If at all, there is some help, it could be reverse and there could be slow turn. Normally, when you play a two test match series, you won one, and the foregone conclusion is it's going to be 2-0, India is going to win. As I mentioned in the preview of the test series, to blood and give a run to a batter is always beneficial because in familiar home conditions they get to play. Now India have two fast bowlers in Bumrah and Siraj who are going to be definitely play, and a three prone spin attack of Kuldeep Yadav, Jadeja and Washington Sundar, out of which two of them are all-rounders. Now backing the side again with Nitish Reddy, in what capacity becomes a question mark. I certainly don't see his, slow military medium stuff coming into picture at all, because certainly we are not playing either in Australia or England or New Zealand where, his bowling could come in handy. I mean, if at all in India he plays, he just has to play as a batter and certainly not to double up as a seam bowler, because we certainly are not going to get such conditions. So when we talk about horses for courses, I believe, India can have an extra batter, the cushion of an extra batter, and, replace Nitish Reddy with that extra batter. So I think if at all the Indian think tank would be thinking about something, because if India win the toss, bat first, they would like to bat long and, get a score in excess of 450, 500, for which you certainly would look at a couple of your top order batters make runs. So I see, somewhere Devdutt Padikkal coming in place of Nitish Reddy, because if Nitish Reddy is just going to be a fielder and doesn't get to bat or bowl, I think it makes no sense. So this is the only possible change. And number two is Jiku, when you pack your side with five bowlers, you invariably will underbowl one bowler. History, you go back and see, it's always two or three bowlers, especially if it's a turning track, the ball is going to take spin. You will see majority of the overs being bowled by Kuldeep Yadav and Jadeja, wherein Washington Sundar, unless and until he's up against left-handers. And invariably, then what would happen is you would have one of your faster bowlers or even both of them missing out to uh, come up and bowl a lot of overs. So the cushion, it's a cushion to actually have Nitish Reddy. So I would look at, Devdutt Padikkal replacing him. But end of the day, it all boils down to what the team management is thinking.
Right, and yes, Nitish Reddy hardly bowled in the first Test match when he was part of the playing 11. He did not get to bat at all because they had three centurions, and the total of 400 and close to 450 was good enough for India to force an innings victory. Of course, he pulled off a blinder in the second innings. That was some catch. Even anybody in that position would have pulled it off. Of course, not taking away any credit from Nitish Reddy. He's a smart cricketer. But then, like you said, it's a cushion to have an extra seamer, and you're going to underplay him. The difference between the pitches, say Ahmedabad was played on the red soil, Arun Jaitley Stadium, black soil. How different is it going to be? Of course, a spin will come into play, but how will do the players have to adapt, especially the bowlers or even the batsmen? Do they have to adapt to those kind of pitches? Of course, they are grown up playing on different pitches. Throw some light on this different types of pitches that India are playing.
Typically, what happens with red soil pitches are, the tendency is you get more bounce in these pitches. And initially in day one and day two, you can see the ball fizzes also off the pitch a little bit quicker. And maybe if at all the game goes into fourth, fifth day, which is highly unlikely with this current West Indian team, you could see the pitch slow up a bit. But still, you definitely will have that turn and bounce happening. Even on day one, when we saw Siraj and Bumrah bowl, they got that bounce and lateral movement out of the pitch. Whereas you look at black soil pitches, especially the one at Arun Jaitley, it typically plays more slow and low. And as the game progresses, you can see the bounce getting much lower. So the challenge is there up for both batters and bowlers. Stroke making will not be all that easy. Once the ball gets a little bit softer, it gets slower off the pitch. Stroke making will not be easy. And number two, once the bounce gets low, the bowlers also need to realize as to what lengths they need to bowl. And for spinners, the pace becomes very important on this pitch. Because now, for example, the speed at which we saw Kuldeep bowl in Ahmedabad, he was able to get more purchase off the pitch. But maybe in Delhi, he might have to bowl that much more quicker to get that purchase off the pitch. So beating the batter in air is a different thing, because West Indies struggled to pick Kuldeep off his hand. So they would be hoping that they play him off the pitch. And if the nature of the pitch is slower, they might, adjust playing him on the back foot. And maybe, even when they play on the front foot, edges might not carry that benevolently as it did in Ahmedabad. So I think the challenge lies for both batters and bowlers. But I think, as you mentioned, the Indians are used to playing, on surfaces which have black soil as well as red soil. So they could just be that bit more comfortable in adapting rather than West Indies. For West Indies, it's going to be a real challenge, coming into play on a pitch that is going to be that much slower and lower in nature.
So, do you see if West Indies are batting first, the Indian spinners straight away in the morning session or maybe in the second session of day one? And of course, the umpires will be tested. Paul Rifle, Richard Illingworth, and Alex Waugh will have a lot of work more than what they had in Ahmedabad, isn't it?
I mean, absolutely, having known the prowess of what a Bumrah and a Siraj can do, and if it's going to be, slightly overcast conditions, and obviously you will have some help if the ball could move in the air, and which both Bumrah and Siraj could certainly utilize. So if the toss goes India's way, I don't think they will have any hesitation in, having a bat first, and guys like Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill, both of them, and Jaiswal would like to make amends. And because I think Sai Sudarshan is at a crucial juncture in his test career now, because he had a pretty decent run in England, and except barring one half century, he didn't get going. And poor shot selection in the first innings, where everybody got off to a start. And that certainly would be running at the back of his mind, because this game is pretty cruel. The chairman of the selection committee has said that we see something in him and he's the future for Indian cricket. And we wish we could give somebody 10, 15 test matches. I mean, the team is doing well. You always can have the option of providing an opportunity. Now, if things are not going well with the team, to have him as a part of the setup would certainly be a tough call. So I think if India bats again, it will only be once. And this one innings is going to be of very, very grave importance for Sai Sudarshan. Otherwise, Devdutt Padikkal has done nothing wrong. He also did reasonably well in the A series recently against Australia. And obviously, he would be knocking on the doors. And come South Africa, there's still a month and a half for that to go. And you never know what might transpire between these two. So, very important game for Sai Sudarshan. And certainly, he would be eagerly looking up to, get a big score. A big score is just not about 50, 60. I think he needs to be looking at that coveted three-figure mark.
He is capable of doing that. So, but what about the West Indies side? How much can they improve from what happened in Ahmedabad, especially right from their captain, whose comments post match was not taken nicely even by their own giants of West Indies cricket? What can West Indies do from here?
Now, what can West Indies do from here is, application is the key. Because if you say that you play the game only for financial security, I think then there is something definitely wrong going on in the heads of these cricketers. Otherwise, they can always choose the path of their illustrious uh, seniors who just walked away from the national duty and they went on to play franchisee league across the world. I mean, financial distress, infrastructure, I think these are all lame excuses which somebody like international cricketers can come up with. So to me, it's just about the mental makeup that comes up first. I think, as always, I believe whether you turn up for your school, your club, your state, I think your country is the pinnacle of your representation. I think when you wear the logo of your West Indian nation, I think that pride should be there in first. So many a times, past cricketers in our country. In fact, I was just listening to Farooq Engineer, though it's slightly off track. I believe they used to get paid 50 rupees a day. And there was a game in New Zealand where India could have comfortably won in 4 days. There were messages from outside saying, "Arey ek aur din khelo, kal ka 50 nahi milega." So that is what they played for. But the pride these cricketers took in when they played, because there was no financial benefit for them, was
Right.
something phenomenal. I think, post 90s was the time wherein, sponsorships came in, broadcast became a big deal, and, cricketers started getting financial security. So I think pride is the key, and mental makeup is very, very important. I mean, if these are the 15 guys who are picked to represent their country in West Indies, I think they should be the best among the lot. So self-belief, looking at themselves in the mirror and saying that, I have been there out before. I have done this, showing that, stomach for a fight. First thing is, they need to ensure saying that, they want to be there out on all 5 days to ensure they put up a fight. I think that's the most important thing. I think if they can manage 50% of this, I believe, the game can go into day 4.
Hopefully, they put up some fight. So on that note, we let you go, Sri. Thank you very much, and see you at the end of the test match. Take care. Stay safe. Bye bye. Thank you, viewers. Thank you.
Thank you.